Hey guys, Dave from Area Rackets. It is now Monday morning, 10 o'clock. Just got out of the shower, so I smell nice and clean for everybody. We're going to do a two-part Q&A. So this will be part 10 and part 10 and a half, or 10.5. The first part we're going to be hobby related questions. And the next part will be more, why is it so dark? More personal questions. The first question we're going to go over is a question that I've answered before, how I got into the hobby or got into tarantulas, period. Again, it was a impulse thing. Many years ago, we went to Buzz and Bees, which is a local exotics place, I guess you'd call it. More fish than anything, but same place we got our 4 little baby rats that we got a week and a half ago. We were there. The twins were little. Alex was 4. They were probably 1, or he was 5 and they were 2. I can't remember the exact dates. But, let's see, 14 years ago. So they would have been 3. Yeah, right around 3 years old. So, 15 years ago. Whatever. Anyway, we went there because we were trying to get Alex something little fuzzy pet. You know, I think we ended up with a hamster, and we got stuff for the twins because you can't buy one without getting something for the other ones. And then my wife fell in love with this little rabbit, so I was like, I'll just get it. You know, I mean, we like animals. Just go ahead and get it. And I was like, well, you know, I want something too. And I wasn't into the fuzzy little things because I'm not a huge fan of mice and gerbils and hamsters and stuff like that. I do like the rats though, but well, we were walking by the area, just going back and forth, and I saw they had a rose hair tarantula, and I was like, yeah, well, that would be kind of cool to have a spider, you know, a big spider. That's what I got. So that's really what started everything. But I wasn't really into them, you know, at that point. It was a pet. We didn't take care of it right for the first 4, 5, or 6 years, probably. You know, it was on. We used cocoa fiber, and we did transfer it once off of that onto sand, and you know, realized that just wasn't working. But we did what we were told. You know, and that was back before we really got into the internet, and you know, we didn't have a lot of money, so we didn't pay for, you know, having the internet and stuff like that. Matter of fact, I've never personally bought a computer. I haven't. The laptops that I had before were ones, my parents bought me one, and then one was given to us from my parents. And then this last laptop that I have was a replacement of the one that finally died. But we never bought a PC. We always my dad would get a new one, he would give us the old one. So, I mean, we weren't really into all that stuff. You know, we had the kids, and we were busy doing stuff with the kids, and, you know, it's tough with twins. We didn't have a lot of time for all that, you know, internet stuff. But anyway, what really got me into it was finding the Aphonopelma hensi at work, or actually getting the Aphonopelma hensi at work, because I didn't find it, somebody else did. And when I brought her home, you know, I started doing a lot more research. There was a lot more, you know, I'm now on the internet a lot. And I joined a couple groups, and, you know, got some information from some people of what it could be, but we weren't sure. Until it molted, and then, you know, the pictures of the spermatozoa pretty much nail it down for us. And then from there, it was, you know, my fascination. Just looked at them. I was like, man, I can't believe how many there are. And from there, you know, I was at our mall, and they just come back from the Buffalo show, had a handful of spiders, and I was like, oh. And the first 2 that I picked up were the Carabina versicolor, which turned out to be a male who was sent off in the fall to breed, and just passed away this last Monday, so a week ago today. Hopefully we're hopeful, not skeptical. We're hopeful that 2 of the 3 females that he bred with actually are going to be gravid, or are gravid. There were a couple pairings with each female, so I'm hoping that he did his part, because I'd miss having a versicolor here. I really do. And the pumpkin patch, the Hapalopus species Columbia large, was the other one that I got in the beginning. So that's kind of what got me into it all. Okay, question number 2, handling. Do I handle my spiders? Very, very rarely. But I have been doing it a little bit more than I was before, because I've been asked to do a couple talks at some places, and showing them like the Euathlus species red, Grammostola pulchripes. My Grammostola pulchra little ones, not too bad right now, but I don't know what'll happen with the next molt. Actually had Milagro, the little tiny Brachypelma hamori. The other day I opened up the lid and he crawled out, which he's never done, or she's never done before. So I had her in my hand, or him in my hand, and put him back. But no, I don't generally do it. I don't have anything against it if it's done safely and properly. I really don't particularly care. They're your spiders, you do what you want, and they're my spiders, I do what I want. And I think that's what we need to start doing in the hobby, is a little bit less critiquing everybody and just a little bit more encouraging people. Next question would be on the roaches. Now, this was from Andrew at Andrew's Tarantulas. Andrew, no, I do not add any extra humidity to my roach colonies at all. Neither the dubias or the red runners. They get the humidity that they need from the fruit. I don't add water crystals. I got away from doing that. They get their moisture from the fruit, and then I give them dry food, which would either be roach chow or cat food or oats. They will eat oats, chick feed for baby chickens, or even big chickens. They do like that too. That can get a little bit expensive, but you can get like a bag, a 6 or 7 or 8 pound bag for $7 or so. So, and it lasts a while. That's pretty much what I do with them. In fact, they both need cleaning. Both of the colonies need cleaning. I'm just waiting for the snow to break, because I don't like doing it in the house. I like doing it outside, so I don't want to freeze them. So I got to wait a little bit longer for the temperatures to rise. Next one, do I feed vertebrates to any of my spiders? Absolutely not. I will not. I have no reason to. I don't think it's necessary, but I also don't think that it's, if you do it, it's not a bad thing. If you do it safely, again, throwing a full-size mouse in with a 6 or 7 inch spider, you're risking the spider being killed by the mouse. Pinky feeding, that, to me, that's not that big of a deal. I watch videos and I hate hearing them squeal and squeak. That's got to be painful for them. And that's the reason I don't do it, is because they can feel that pain. Just like you and I can. Their nervous system is similar, so they can feel that pain. And I kind of feel bad for them, even though I'm not a big fan of those little fuzzy things. I'm just not a fan of it. So no, I don't feed vertebrates, whether it would be lizards, frogs, or anything like that. Now, I wouldn't hesitate to feed fish if I had any that would want to eat fish, but for some odd reason I don't have that same feeling towards fish, because I feed them to the turtle. So yeah, I would feed fish. Next question, my preferences, old world, new world. New world's the answer to that. I like seeing them. I like feeding responses for some of them. I like the idea of them, if they do get out and something happens to, somebody here in my house, or, the cat or dog. I wouldn't worry about the cat so much, but the dog getting bit by, again, I wouldn't even really worry about my dog, because she catches birds out of the sky. Yeah, I prefer New World. Again, for that reason, the irradiating hairs don't seem to bother me, so I have that going for me right now. And I like those big, bulky species. I mean, I'd have a whole wall of Acanthoscurias and Nandus and Lasiadoras and Brachypelmas and Aphonopelmas, Zenithus, Pamphobedius, species like that, or genera like that. I would be more than content having a whole wall of just South American spiders, to be honest with you, and Central American spiders. Even, a bunch of course, lower Pennsylvania, lower United States, the Aphonopelma species that are here in the United States. I wouldn't mind having a whole wall of those, and really, I would be content. I really would. I do like the Asian species. I do like Tarantulas. I just adore that species, that genus, period. Not species. You make that mistake quite often, that genus. Yeah, so I would prefer New World and terrestrial. out of terrestrial, fossorial, arboreal. I'm not a huge arboreal fan. I just think that I don't see them as much, and for what you need to do, I think for their enclosures to make them look halfway decent, it just tends to lead. They seem to hide more for me than some of the other spiders do. I like to see them, and that's a big draw for me, is being able to see them. So yeah, that's my preferences for that. Next question would be, if I could do one thing over, we'll go back to when we found the Aphonopelma hensi till now. If I could do one thing over, there would be half as many here as there are. That would be my do-over. I probably wouldn't have many Asian species. I do like the Chelobrachys fimbriatus, the Orphanaicus species, Ornithoctinae species, and Ornithoctona species are the ones that I like the best. There's a few of the Lampropelmas or the Cereopagopus that I enjoy, but I probably wouldn't have nowhere near the amount of spiders that I do. Definitely at least half the numbers. I probably would have had a hard cap of 50 and been done with that. The problem is that I have so many of a certain genus that, that number increases, and, you almost have to pick a couple species or a couple genera, couple genera, and kind of just specialize in that, and just do that. The things that I have here, the reason I have so many different kinds is basically for the YouTube channel, to keep interest, because I don't know how many people want to keep coming to a channel that just feeds Brachypelmas all the time, or Aphonopelmas all the time. So, having that variety, partially for the channel, and that's why I picked up a few species in trade lately that I probably wouldn't have gotten before. And I mean, honestly, if somebody asked me if they could buy some of the ones that I've got, I would be more than happy to sell them. I have the C. lividus, and it's just a spider I never really wanted. I did some deals with people because I wanted to get spiders to them because the passion that they had for some of the stuff that I have that they keep. So I kind of just, did trades, because that's the kind of person that I am, just to help them out. And I mean, I have the C. lividus, and I'll be more than happy to raise it. But if a right offer came up, I would probably be more than happy to send it off or trade it, or even there's a handful of other ones too. Probably the Chelobrachys species Cancrochon, maybe. Well, I'd like to keep one of them. The Chelobrachys discalus, the Chelobrachys huahini. There's a handful that I would probably be more than happy to trade off or sell for stuff that I would rather have. Definitely. I'm going to pause you here real quick, and we're going to get to the last few before I hit my time limit. Okay, so I'm back. Next question is, have I bred tarantulas? The answer to that question is I have. Have I been successful completely through an egg sac? No, I have not. I have had 2 wild-caught females, Eualthus species red and the Grammostola species north, drop egg sacs relatively quickly after I got them. And both of them abandoned their egg sacs relatively quickly, right around the 20-day to 23-day mark for both of them. The Grammostola species north, actually, that egg sac was actually torn open. I'm assuming that she was going to eat it. She wasn't anywhere near it. She was actually in her burrow, and the egg sac was brought out of her burrow and put into the other opposite corner of the water dish. So I pulled it, under recommendation from experienced keepers, did the best that I could with them, got 2 to get to eggs with legs, but they didn't actually unfold. If you know what the eggs with leg stage is, it's you have the egg itself, and then it develops the eggs with legs, and it kind of folds out as a first instar. I never got to that point. The egg sac ended up having mold in it, and it pretty much killed the eggs. The Eualthus species red, I didn't have any viable eggs in there. They were nothing that got past the eggs or the egg stage at all. There were some very, very nice looking eggs out of the, I don't know, there was like 56 or 57 eggs in that egg sac, I think. And there were about 5 or 6 that looked okay. The other ones were kind of milky and dark, which is pretty much an indication that they're not any good. They seem fertile to me, but yeah, those didn't work out. I paired my Neoholthelli Inse female twice. She molted out both times. And I bred the Seriocosmus Ore. This is the second breeding. The first time was successful. She did lay eggs, but she didn't lay silk, so she never made an egg sac. She just deposited them in a divot that she dug out, and I ended up eating them that night. And so she's been bred. She's in heat right now. And the Aphonopelma chalcodes female that I bred with KC tarantulas male, the breeding was successful. It's been 6 months. She just hasn't dropped yet. So I got some advice to try something, and we're going to do it. We're going to, I'm going to take her out of her enclosure that she's in right now. We're going to put her in something, that's got about 8 inches of dirt, make a starter burrow for her, and, wet the crap out of her. We're supposed to make it rain for about 3 times a week for the next 2 weeks and keep her temperatures right around 80 degrees. And then stop the rain and see what happens. So we're going to try and push her a little along. Not that they could take a year, the chalcodes to drop, and even sometimes longer. So we'll find out. We're going to do the best that we possibly can with her. Number 9, the biggest mistake that I've made. I've made a bunch. And if anybody tells you that they haven't, they're lying to you. Really, because you have to make mistakes to get better at what you do. That's the only way that you really learn, to be honest with you. Sometimes it may cost the spider its life, or just, catching a spider in the lid and losing a leg or something like that. We've all done it. I got this idea one day that I wanted to rehouse my 2 Tarantulas marinus slings out of the I had them in, those are 4-ounce deli cups, I think. They were 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch. And I wanted to put them in 32-ounce deli cups. And one had actually just made some web on the top and kind of just hung out on it. That one went easy. The other one had it all webbed up. So I'm digging around trying to find a spider. I couldn't find a spider. And so I just picked up the web and I put it in the other enclosure. When I did that, I realized that, oh, there it is right there. But it looks weird, and what it was the spider was halfway through a molt. So I transferred a spider halfway through a molt. Legs were still in, the carapace was white, all 8 legs were still in, so it hadn't actually completely come out of the molt yet, and here I am transferring it. It's because I couldn't see it in the web. I didn't even have any indication that it was in pre-molt because I never saw that spider that much. So that was one of my first big mistakes. The egg sacs, again, I don't think that was really my mistake. I mean, because they both abandoned their egg sacs, but, and I did close one spider. Matter of fact, it was the same Tarantulas, the next rehouse. I accidentally closed the lip of the new enclosure on its, front leg, and it pulled its leg off. And if anybody has ever seen that, it's just kind of weird because that little leg just kind of wiggles and wiggles and wiggles. So that spider's been through a lot, and that's Bantu. That's my large female that I have that I don't see anymore. She's completely underground all the time. She's been through fine. I mean, she's fine. She's almost full grown. She's right around the 5-inch mark, ish. She may be just a tad under, so she's getting close to being completely full grown. Next molt probably do it, and she may have molted already underground. I don't even know about it. Yeah, so those are pretty much the biggest mistakes that I've made doing this. I'm sure there's others that I kind of maybe were too traumatic and my mind blocked them out. But next question is my favorite tarantula. Well, I can answer that a bunch of different ways. My favorite tarantula overall, my favorite tarantula in my collection. If I could only pick one tarantula to keep, even if it was, just let's say you can only pick one tarantula to keep many of, I would probably, believe it or not, even though I'm not an arboreal fan, it would probably be the Salmopes pulcher. I think the slings are really cute, and I adore the blonde coloring with that pattern on the abdomen and those pinkish, salmon pinkish hairs on their legs. And the males are just absolutely stunning when they're all pipe cleanered legs and fuzzy, and I just think that they're my favorite tarantula species overall. But my favorite spider in my collection, or tarantula in my collection, is my Ephiopus rufescens. I am absolutely enthralled with the coloring of that spider. The attitude, I fed it, and 4 days later it molted. So the willingness to eat, it didn't really gain much size, and the molt was way too small for me to sex. But it was also a gift from somebody, so that also makes it kind of special. But I am absolutely enthralled by that spider. I can't stop looking at it. When I bring it down, I don't want to put it back up there again. So that one will probably be one that gets a nice display enclosure. So yeah, that's probably my favorite species, and you know, my favorite genus overall. If I only could keep one genus, but I could have multiple species, would be Brachypelma. The colors just are unmatched, and there's so many in the genus that are just really great spiders. So yeah, that would be my answer to that question. The next question is kind of hand in hand, really, and that's my favorite New World or Old World. My favorite New World tarantula, again, it's either the Ephiopus rufescens, because that's my favorite in the collection, or my Salmopaeus pulcher. My favorite Old World species, there's a few that I really have a hard time not liking, and being at the top of the list, the Encerocotella olivacea. I just adore the colors on that. The attitude of that girl is just impressive. I haven't seen any kind of aggressive or defensive behavior from her yet. Well, yeah, I can't say that. I have seen her threat posture when I tried to feed her when she was in pre-molt, but again, I don't poke and prod them, so I don't go for that reaction. The only time I ever see threat postures is generally when I try to feed them and they're not happy. I got a big one out of the Nandu Colorado Velocis female the other day with my granddaughter here. She was in full-blown defensive posture in her burrow. My Ornithoctinae species louse, oh my gosh, that sling is just unbelievable, and I'm getting a 3-inch female in that deal for the Salmopaeus reduncus that I sent, and I can't wait to get that girl in. And then the Tarantulas tete that are coming in is always, since the first time I saw them, my favorite Tarantulas by far. I like those and the Chordatus quite a bit. And then, of course, my Poecilotheria Fusca Highland. So if I had to pick a favorite Old World, I would probably go with my Ornithoctinae species louse. Basically because they're an Old World GBB. They will dig a little bit. They web the crap out of their enclosures. They're very, very pretty. They have some serious patterning on the abdomen. They have like blues and different blue hues and some grays and just amazing. Okay, the next one is, this was a question by Kat. It's a very good question, matter of fact. She asked me, what are my thoughts on the trends in sales of tarantulas? So like, right now the Grammostola pulchras are really, really popular. Last year it was the Poecilotheria metallicas. And my answer to the question is the trends go by, basically, it's no different than any kind of other sale. So fashion, vehicles, trading cards, anything like that. It's supply and demand. And what has happened over the course of the years is, the Poecilotheria metallica, when they first were introduced in the United States, I'm not exactly sure when that was, a handful of years ago, for sale. People have had them prior to that, trying to breed them, but the ones that first came out for sale, of course, they're blue, for the love of God. So blue and yellow and black and white, how can you not want that? So people reach in their pockets way deeper for something like that than they would for other spiders that are just coming out. And a lot of it's visual, and that's part of the problem, is that a lot of people shop with their eyes, and that's just our human nature. So when you take the Grammostola pulchra, a big black docile spider that looks like black velvet, a black lab, whatever you want to call it, And because the such difficulty to breed them, you didn't see a ton of them. And people would import a handful of them here or there, and you'd see them for sale. I mean, I got both of mine for under $50. Right now, you can't touch them for less than 60 or 70 or 90, you know. And these are all imported slings that are a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch. So that's generally the problem that we have is the supply and demand. So when we can't breed them here in the United States, because they always breed stuff first in Germany and Poland and places like that is where you get your big breedings going on. They breed a bunch. They go to the European market first, and then the next set of breedings, or half that breeding, or a quarter of that breeding, will get shipped to the United States to an importer, and then they'll sell them. So we rely too much on only a handful of people that are breeding them, and because Grammostola pulchra are so hard to breed, it becomes a lot rare for the slings to be in the hobby. Poecilotheria is another one that can take a long time for their egg sacs to drop. So you could breed them now, and they won't drop for 6 to 8 months. So that's part of the reason that you see the trends in sales and, you know, what becomes popular. Basically, it's all eyes, and they're like, oh my gosh, look at that beautiful black spider. I just have to have one. And then you get on the boards, and it just gets amplified, and one person wants one, 10 people want one, then 100 people want one. And that's pretty much where that lies, is the availability of them. Look for the Brachypelma shorderi to be the next one, or possibly if the Pamphibedius, I think Pamphibedius mashala may be another one that may be popular, and I think a couple other Pamphibedius species themselves will actually be rather popular. The next new wave, or the next fad spider, if you will. And the last question about the hobby is what species do I have the most of? And that's the Monocentropus balfouri, which I have 5, 4 in a communal, 1 by himself. I have 4 Neoholthella insaes. So those 2 are the 2 that I have the most of, and that's because of the communal part. I wouldn't have that many of them if they were solo. The genus that I have the most of is Brachypelma. I have 18. 2 albiceps, 3 albopilosums, 2 of which are Nicaraguan, 1 Auratum sling, 2 Baumgarteni, 1 Bamey, 2 Amelias, 2 Hamoris, 1 Classy, 1 Sabulosum, 1 Shorderi, and 2 Baggins. So those are basically the gist of everything that the questions were collection-wise. So I hope you guys enjoyed this part of it. And it's a little bit long, and you're just looking at me talking, but I think it's about 25 or 26 minutes long. And then I'll get this uploaded, and we'll film the more personal questions next. Thanks for watching.